Clank, a deck building adventure. This is definitely a must play, recommended for you right now if you've never played it. Clank, this is the original. They've come out with some expansions, including the Egyptian temple one and an underwater themed one. And one of my favorites is the Clank in Space. They've since come out with the Legacy version, but I will say if you've never played or heard of Clank, the original is still quite amazing, and it is basically one of the best in terms of deck building adventure games. So what I mean by that is everyone starts out with the same set of 10 cards, and then as you play, you can add new cards to your deck, allowing you to do different effects on the main game board. You have an explorer piece that starts outside the dungeon or castle, and you're trying to explore within to collect treasure. You can, by default, collect one piece of treasure and then get out before the dragon attacks and kills you. You can also buy special items that you can, like the backpack where you can carry an extra artifact or treasure. And then a lot of other secondary treasures that you can pick up, like the monkey idols, which are worth points. So ultimately, you're trying to collect these items and treasures, collect cards that are allowing you to progress and move through the dungeon more effectively, and collect cards that also are worth points. At the end of the game, it's points that wins. Now you have to be able to leave the dungeon before the dragon just kills everybody and destroys everyone below the surface of the castle there. It's a lot of fun. There's a dragon meeple where he measures the intensity of his attacks anytime that a dragon appears on a card that comes out in the display of cards. So like most deck builders, you've got a display of 5 or 6 cards. Whenever those get replenished, i.e. after someone's turn, if there's a dragon shown on one of the cards, then he does a dragon attack. And essentially, that's where the Clank issue comes into play. You add all the Clank cubes that have been collected on the board from various players, put it in the draw bag, mix them all up, and then you draw a certain number. And then whatever colors are drawn, those players are taking immediate damage. And you can only take so much damage before you get knocked out. So you want to make sure that you're healing up and reducing how much Clank cubes that you're actually putting in the bag. You can generate Clank sometimes just by walking too fast or by playing cards essentially that add Clank. You're going to need coins or gold to be able to buy some of these items that I was mentioning, like the backpack. There's also a key that you can get. There's a crown that you can get for just big points. The key is useful to get to certain areas in the dungeon that otherwise you just can't go. But essentially you're using your cards and what come out on your turn from a hand of 5 to try to draw more cards, to try to play what you can and move your piece and attack what you can. So it's a very effective, very fun and engaging deck building adventure game. And that's why it's saying a deck building adventure, because it absolutely is. You're moving your piece all over the place trying to get this stuff before anyone else gets there, because once some of those things are taken, they're just gone, and then you're back to square one trying to figure out what's your plan. If the dragon moves up a certain number of times, then he basically triggers a countdown before he just destroys everybody if they've not left the dungeon. One of the ways that he improves or increases his anger is, one, if someone takes one of his artifacts or treasures from the dungeon, that makes him angry, he gets higher up there. There's also secret tokens that are flippable when you move on to them, and sometimes you find a dragon egg, and whenever someone finds a dragon egg, that dragon also gets angry, and of course increases in effect that way. But the dragon eggs, for that player who collected them, they're worth points, so they're not that bad. It's just going to increase how many cubes are going to be drawn during a given attack, and of course increase the time, or decrease when it's going to happen for the final, attack for everybody dying. This plays in a very swift hour and a half, I'd say, maybe less than that, but it plays for 2 to 4 players. And again, this is sort of the original, the first one that came out. I highly recommend it. If you want a little bit more complexity or involvement in it, I would also take a look at Clank in Space. So either of those, you're going to do great. Clank, a deck building adventure, definitely worth your time. Try it out.